are Locked On Cowboys, your daily Dallas Cowboys podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Locked on Cowboys. Locked on Cowboys.
I am Marcus Mosher. He is Landon McCool, and we are Locked On Cowboys, your first listen every single day. We're going to dive into the All-22 film from the Cowboys' Week 9 loss against the Broncos to see if the Cowboys have been figured out, according to Vic Fangio. Landon, how much fun was it to watch this All-22 film, by the way?
I think at some point you referred to you compared it to a dentist office visit, which I think is a rather appropriate if I'm being honest.
It's like you have to do it. You don't want to, but you're gonna just kind of suffer through it anyways.
Got to take that drill to the tooth. It's got to get that root out. So yeah, I mean it was, and honestly, like much like the dentist office, when you get home and it's all said and done, it wasn't that bad. I mean, I think, the anticipation of it was worse. We got to drop this analogy, but start talking about the actual film. But I think, look, it was ugly. I knew it was going to be ugly, but I did feel better about it after having watched it, right? Where I felt like, okay, this is a lot of correctable mistakes. This is a lot of just kind of undisciplined play. Just sort of stuff that felt lazy as opposed to like a fundamental flaw with this team, that sort of thing. So, I feel like having watched the tape that there's a lot of good coaching points for this coaching staff to work on, but not like, so much a fatal flaw, flaw or anything like that. It just felt like there was a lot of just poor play, guys that were playing through injuries, that stuff finally caught up with them. Not so much like a schematic kind of hole that they can't.
Despite what Vic Fangio says. By the way, we are kids or our family show. We're not going to say what I actually think about Vic Fangio, but did you see him complaining? He thought it was disrespectful that the Cowboys went for it on fourth down to start the game.
I saw a couple of Broncos players talking about that, and it's like, guys, we're playing football. Yeah. I mean, if whatever you guys need to do to fool yourself into thinking this is some kind of slight to play better, that's fine. You guys won. I mean, that should be enough, right? I don't know, like going for it on fourth down, especially weren't they both like 4th and 2 and under?
Yeah, they were 4th and shorts. It wasn't like it was a 4th and 8.
Go away. You won the game. Go away.
Go away,
just, look, you're not going to be coaching there much longer anyway. So you
got about 8 games left, right?
You have plenty of time to complain about that when you're a defensive coordinator for the Redskins or Jacksonville or whomever. So
you can get all the way out of here. All right, let's talk about the All-22 stuff. So I actually want to talk about the defense before we talk about the offense, because I think I have more questions about the defense than I do the offense, and we'll get to them in a second. I want to start with a couple guys that I just don't think played well. And we first start with, this is a game that the Cowboys really missed DeMarcus Lawrence, right?
Yeah.
The defensive ends did not play particularly well, and that's why the Broncos gashed them. I thought Chauncey Golston, and I don't know your thoughts, but I think Chauncey Golston had easily the worst game of his career, did not hold up well in the run game, did not really offer any kind of pass rush. And this is a little bit of the fear when you ignore, some veteran pass rushers are out there because you like your young guys. Games like this can pop up, and it did for Chauncey Golston.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely was his worst game, and I definitely felt like he played as bad as anybody on that defense. But he certainly wasn't alone. I mean, he specifically, like, it just felt like was a microcosm. He was trying to jump inside on blocks and getting trapped inside and losing contain. Just being kind of put on the ground, blown off the ball, unable to maintain his feet when he gets kind of sideswiped by a guard while he's engaged with the tackle. I mean, it just felt like everything was going wrong specifically for Golston. But I mean, again, it's just kind of a microcosm. You even saw him drop into a fire zone and give up a pass. And it was a rough day. Honestly, I feel like that whole level of contributor that we usually get pretty decent production from, they really in general had rough games. I mean, whether it's Golston or Basham or Armstrong, but and also we need to talk about the defensive tackles, because I think the defensive
Justin
tackles
Hamilton
in
did play
general,
well. Yep.
Hamilton and Bohanna, like I think here's the issue. If there is like not a fatal flaw, but an issue that the Cowboys have that isn't necessarily going to have a solution right away, it's that you've got two big interior defensive tackles who are really better as penetrators. I mean, they're really kind of almost better just trying to get through the line and disrupt, as opposed to keeping your linebackers clean. And that
That's
became
why
a
they miss
problem.
Urban a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And that's why, I think you saw a lot of problems with the linebackers on the second levels, because you saw a lot of guards and offensive linemen living on the second level with the linebackers, and just their inability to get off those blocks. And it kind of started to compound for the Cowboys.
Yep.
I mean, look, they were jumping out of gaps. They were missing tackles. They were falling down. It just felt like it was sloppy and out of control at different points. And it wasn't just, Golson or just the defensive ends. It was, the linebackers as well. Even though Parsons had a great game, he had at least, like I said, 3 or 4 missed tackles after watching the game.
Yep.
And same thing happened with Leighton Vander Esch, where he made a good play here, made a tackle for loss. Then he can't sort through the trash, in kind of a clear out route, and they leave an orbital, route out wide open in the flat, which should have been like a 3 or 4 yard gain, and then now suddenly it's turned into a 20-yard gain because no one went out there. It's just stupid mental errors and just not kind of being sharp the way that they needed to be.
I want to actually talk about Vander Esch and Parsons, because I don't think Vander Esch played as bad as what maybe some people thought.
Roller coaster. It was just it was just like, it was really good play followed by a really bad play. And I think both of them played like that from my view.
They did. Keanu Neal did not play well. Of the 3 linebackers, he was the worst of the 3. And hoping this transition to linebacker would be a little bit better, but he's really struggled so far this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's struggling with his keys. I think John Oney posted a video of, if I'm not mistaken, of him dropping into coverage when it was clearly, obviously a run play.
Yep.
And it just felt like there was, and that wasn't the only time too. I think there was another 2 or 3 times when I saw where the run was to his side, and he just hesitated to pull the trigger and come downhill and make the tackle. And because he did, he ended up getting blocked, and the running back put his foot in the ground and got north and south and was able to get 10 or 12 yards before anyone kind of ever even touched him. And that brings up another thing too, is, I mean, how many times did we see in this game where somebody got contact on the ball carrier, but it took 2 or 3 more guys to bring him down? Like, we just can't have that.
And we didn't see that much early in the season. I would say the stopping power of the linebackers was much, much better. This game, they were just driving forward, getting 2, 3, 4 yards. My goodness, on the one play that Javonte Williams had, he almost scored on it. If there wasn't somebody there to trip him up, he would have broken all those tackles and scored. It was just, that was the biggest thing for me. The biggest key in this game was tackling, and it just was not good at all. I don't know if it was because of the emotional win on Sunday Night Football, whether it's because of a noon kickoff. I don't know. It was just bad all the way around. I want to keep talking about the defense, Landon, but before we do that, I want to tell you guys about Built Bar. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar out there. It's real chocolate with amazing flavors. It's just a great combination of low calories, high protein, and low sugar with no crazy additives. Best of all, they taste fantastic. Go to BuiltBar.com and use promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your next box at BuiltBar.com. I will also say, Coconut Brownie Chunk released last night, only for the next couple of days. Go ahead and get your orders. Make sure you use Locked15 for 15% off. All right, let's continue to talk about the defense in the secondary. Trevon Diggs, after rewatching this game, I actually feel better about his performance because I don't think he's healthy still. I think that ankle is bothering him. It just doesn't seem like he has the same quickness and speed that he did early on in the season. I don't know if it's going to continue to linger or whatever. But for me, I think it's pretty clear he's not healthy.
Yeah. I mean, I think he He actually, I felt looked more hurt last week, and I was hoping that he would heal up a little bit. And I think maybe he did, but it still is clearly bothering him. And then that was clearly a push off by Tim Patterson, right? Like
I don't know how this happened, but normally when you are a guy that gets 7 interceptions, you start to get the benefit of the doubt, right? Like you end up getting the superstar status of a cornerback. It's actually been the opposite for Diggs. Referees are targeting him because even the pass interference that he had in the end zone, while I won't disagree that it's pass interference, you'll see that play 15 times on a Sunday and they won't call it. They say that's just playing through contact and stuff, right?
You saw that play 15 times with Denver defensive backs on top of Cowboys wide receivers. I mean, Dalton Schultz had exactly what Trayvon Diggs did happen to him 4 times, and they didn't call it. So yeah, I think, and I think you and I talked about this, on Twitter a little bit in the DMs, was that I agree. It's not that I have a problem that was called pass interference. My problem is that they called that pass interference, but they didn't call 4 or 5 other things that were almost exactly the same play. And the other thing too about that call that bothers me a little bit is if you go back and I know the refs don't have this ability and no one's going back to watch replay, but if you go back and watch, Trayvon is breaking on the ball before the wide receiver is.
Right.
So at what point are they both going for the football that's available to them? And so I don't know. I think I understand it because there's contact at the top of the route. I get that, but I think you got to call it balanced. If you're going to call that, you got to call it that way across the board, and not allow Denver's DBs to just play and not get called for almost the exact same kind of thing.
Let's do some good all-22 things. I actually thought Donovan Wilson had a nice game. I think of all the defensive backs, he probably had the best day. I think we need to get back to a point where he's seeing a majority of the snaps at safety. I don't know if it's because they just like to use the rotation or they're kind of working him in, but I think it's pretty clear he's still the best safety that they have.
Yeah, I mean, I think, especially in some of that stuff where they're trying to run one of the things that Denver did really well to take advantage of Dallas was just running a lot of these deep over routes, across the field. That was where I really started to see it felt like Trayvon kind of couldn't get that extra gear to get across the field at times when he was kind of in the slot trying to chase that down.
Wilson did it.
And I think, that was actually what I was going to get at, was that Wilson was the only one who I saw successfully kind of cover that route from the slot at the safety position. So it's starting to feel like he's getting healthier each week, and his play is increasing a little bit more. I think that the Cowboys still need to, use him because he has a skill set that the Cowboys are needing. Yeah, he's a playmaker and he can be physical. I just think that, if they need to be putting him on the field a little bit more, just kind of uptick his snaps, because he can do things when he's on the field. And I thought that this was the first game since he's been back where it started. Okay, that's the Donovan Wilson we're used to,
So let's just go over the snaps really quickly for the safeties. 33 for Malik Hooker, 35 for Donovan Wilson, 43 for Casey, 78 for Jaron Kearse.
Yeah, Kearse is playing. I mean, Kearse is getting more snaps because Kearse is playing more than safety. He's playing.
He's really playing like a dime linebacker almost.
Yeah, exactly. So, I actually like the rotation on the rest of them. I thought Hooker
would just bump up
too.
Wilson's snaps a little bit. I think he deserves to play 40, 45 snaps a game.
I think Hooker has deserved.
Hooker played. Hooker
played really well. Yeah, if they, I mean, again, just call it even. The Teddy Bridgewater reach over the goal line touchdown, which to me looked almost exactly like what Dak did when they called a fumble on the reach over. I felt like that was really instinctual play by Hooker to get that fumble that they decided was a touchdown. Yeah, I mean, I think it's stuff like that. A couple of tackles in the hole there, he came down really well, and I thought he's just been playing a lot better football too. So yeah, there is some bright spots with the safeties, but obviously that was kind of after the damage had already been done. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna move on to the offense, but any final thoughts on the defense before we move on? Just a no good, very bad day from that unit, right?
Yeah, I mean, just sloppy. Just unable to get off blocks, unable to assist teammates to help them, stay clean. Jumping out of gaps, fall just on the ground too much, playing out of control, just not crisp. There were just too many times when the guy that was supposed to be making the tackle was on his knees or was falling down as he's making the tackle, and just losing their footage and that sort of thing.
Jordan Lewis could have had multiple interceptions in this game if he didn't fall, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, look, and Jordan Lewis had some good snaps too, but it just was a level, the real thing, I think I wrote this in my notes too, is that especially early on, it just felt like the defense couldn't string together 3 good plays in order to get Denver off the field. It's like it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or 1 step forward, 2 steps back, right? Like they just they make a tackle for loss. I actually have a stat that real quick I have to pull up because I actually had to go up and count it. But let's see where it is. Denver. Oh no, wait, I'm sorry. It's on the offensive side. I'll bring it up on the offensive side because I felt like it was a setback.
How's that for a tease for you guys?
Yeah. So let's talk some offense.
Yeah. Let's talk about the offense. Quickly before we do that, Get Upside. If you want to save some money on your gas, download the Get Upside app right now. Our listeners are making up to 25 cents for every single gallon, every single time they fill up. Just download the free Get Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now. Use promo code Touchdown and get a bonus 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. That's up to 50 cents cash back. Don't pay full price at the pump anymore. Get cash back using Get Upside. All right, Landon. Cowboys offense. A lot of drops, a lot of missed throws, a lot of bad blocking. But I don't think their offense was solved in a week. What are your thoughts?
No, and look, I also think we need to mention that Dak Prescott clearly had a bad game, and the thing about Dak's bad game is that it's the same. It's the stuff that we've seen before when he has bad games. When Dak makes bad throws, his feet are bad. His feet aren't pointing the right direction. He doesn't have them set correctly. There's usually a number of things they're there, but they're all pretty consistent. That's what I saw is on the throws that he missed. His feet weren't set correctly. He was just sloppy with his footwork, and it caused the ball to either sail or in a couple instances, like Cedric Wilson's, I think 3rd down pass, it skipped to him. So, listen, I'm gonna, I said this to you, and I think other people may disagree, and it's gonna be a talking point all season. I'm glad they kept Dak in that game because as you watch the game, Dak
I'm glad now that I know he didn't get hurt. That's part of it. You know what I mean?
Well,
now
but
that we know he didn't get hurt, right?
Yeah, I know, but ultimately we're trying to win these games, and not that we were going to win that game, but like the more snaps against live action, Dak needs to be back in midseason, form.
Yeah,
and getting to play snaps in a game at that speed is good for him. And to me, I saw a guy who improved and kind of got back, his rhythm as the game went on. And I think that's important. That's really important. So having that going into next week, I think gives him a level of confidence that, okay, we can get this ship sorted. I can get back into a normal week of practice and we'll be playing back to the way we were used to playing. Can I mention something real quick that's this, because I do think this was fascinating. You even brought it up, some of the 2nd down runs and the problems, running on 2nd and 10. And actually, I think our friend, again, John Owning mentioned, some stats about 2nd down inefficiencies, which absolutely were true. I actually think there was a correlation, and I wasn't sure, and I'm still going to have John check on it, but I did want to go back and check and see how much of that was related to lack of success on 1st down. Now let me be clear when I give you the stat. This is about completion percentages on 1st down. I am not at all 100% arguing against throwing on 1st down. I think you should be throwing on 1st down most of the time. I'm just pointing out the issues in this game. The Cowboys on 1st down, not including 2-minute, I took those out, had 10 attempts on 1st down, and they were 4 for 10 for 36 total yards, and that includes a sack in there. And honestly, I think that really kind of spoke to a lot of the issues with the Cowboys offense. They were out of sync, and then when they tried to be aggressive by, previously this team has done a really good job of not even getting in 3rd downs. And a lot of that has to do with their success on 1st and 2nd downs. That lack of success and lack of ability to throw the ball well on 1st down continually put the Cowboys behind the chains in this game and made their jobs even more difficult. When you're first and 10 and you have an incompletion, you kind of feel like you want to run the ball somewhere in there. And if you don't do it on second down, you're kind of having to go either 3 passes and out, or hope for the best. You get an opportunity after second down to kind of run for a first down on third. The Cowboys kind of just were out of sync with an inability to kind of complete a pass, getting behind the chains. Problems with the offensive line at different points blocking. It just felt disjointed. And then ultimately, especially near the end of the first half, and then the beginning of the third, Dak and this whole offense was pressing entirely too much to try to score 21 points on one play. So that was, I felt like, was a large portion of what we saw, especially early in the first half with this.
Yeah.
Offense.
So to your point, I just looked this up as you were talking. From weeks 1 through 7, Dak averaged 8.9 yards an attempt on first down. That's first in the league. He averaged 4 yards an attempt on first down in this game. Some noticeable difference, right? Like, the Cowboys are a team that have to win on first down in order to be good on offense, and they usually are. They were just bad in this game, and when you're bad on first down, it's going to put you in a hole. And then they didn't run the ball particularly well at second down, which set up third downs, and that's when we saw the drops, right? Amari had a drop, CD had a drop, an overthrow to CD. It happens. It was just one of those games where the offense was just completely out of sync. Want to talk about the offensive line. Terrence Steele did not play well at left tackle. How do you think Lyle Collins played in his first game back at right tackle?
I think he played okay. I mean, he gave up a pressure or two, but I definitely feel like he was one of the better offensive linemen on the field on Sunday. I think a lot of what we were seeing too is just a lot of early down pressures by Denver, right? They weren't afraid to blitz on first and second down, and it felt like the Cowboys were surprised by a lot of that, or at least they just didn't have the answers readily available. I just, I think the line itself blocked okay. I think Steele was definitely the exception to that rule. I mean, he clearly was not comfortable, struggled against Cooper. Was it Jonathan Cooper? Or
Jonathan
who's
Cooper, 7th-round pick from Ohio State. Yep.
I mean, he just ate him up at different points, and just I just felt like the Cowboys, had the right calls protection wise at many times, and then they couldn't just execute the blocks, and sometimes Dak was escaping out of pocket for pressure, that wasn't there, but there was also many times when it felt like he was throwing from a pocket that was collapsing all over him, where he's falling down. That one throw, I have to point it out, just to kind of the throw that made me feel like, okay, Dak just had a bad day. Dak is still Dak. Was when I think it was like 3rd and 2 early in the first quarter or something, and it was the throw to Cooper where he pumped and then pulled it back, and then like almost all arm just kind of winged it like 15 yards out perfectly to Cooper. It was really impressive. So Dak was, operating in the pocket, seemingly pretty well. I just think that there were times when the pressure was, when the pocket was collapsing, when the pressure was getting tight, that he had some unforced errors with his footwork, and that was causing problems throwing the football. And
what's so frustrating is on some of those unforced errors, like on the play to Cedric Wilson, where he just kind of bounced it to him, there's a chance Cedric scores on that play. If not, they're inside the 10-yard line, right?
Yeah.
And man, you just wonder how different the game is if, he picks up that first down, because now I'm assuming they score a touchdown. Now it's 7-0, and your defense just got to stop. And it's just one of those games where one play, one throw can change the entire momentum of how a game goes. So I'm not overly concerned. Now, if we see this start to trend into next week and against Atlanta, and they start to look sloppy and that kind of stuff, then I'll start to get worried. But I just think such a fluky game. It just seemed like it was so odd.
Like we said, they have one of the best defensive backfields in football. They have one of the best defensive minds in football as far as drawing up scheme, drawing up, coverages, and how they pair well with the defensive line and what they're doing. If if this is a blueprint, have a fantastic defensive backcourt and have the Cowboys drop, I don't know, 6+ passes probably.
Yeah.
Then yeah, I mean, good luck. Bring it back and let's see if it happens again. I have a hard time believing that, Pollard, Cooper, Schultz, Lamb are all going to drop key converting passes all in one game every game. It's like,
I would agree.
It's tough to see that as a
I
trend.
Want to circle really quickly back to Lyle Collins. I thought he was pretty good in this game. Definitely a little bit of rust from not playing that spot, for 2 months. I really don't see a reason why they should go back to Terrence Steele at right tackle.
No.
I mean, I think we're probably over the "hey, we're mad at you" stage, right? Like, it's been like, listen, he didn't get his job back the first week that he returned from suspension. That's fine. Steele played okay. I think it's just time to go back to Lyle. He lets you do so much more on offense.
They did what they could do to teach him a lesson.
It seems like he got it right, because it seemed like even when he came back, the attitude wasn't, "Hey, I should be starting." It was, "I'm going to do whatever I can to help the team," whether that's play fullback, whether that's back up at left guard, take snaps at left tackle. It seems like he got the message, I would think.
And that's not surprising, just knowing Lael. I mean, I think Lael is, maybe a little immature, or maybe has problems with.
But I don't think he's a bad teammate.
No, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. I think he's a good teammate, and I think he wants to do what's good for the team, and I think he wants to be a team player. He made a mistake. He compounded his mistake with another mistake, and I think that's certainly something that he needs to learn from, and certainly something that he should be punished for. But I also think that this is not a guy who is, this is a guy who will take that to heart. Just knowing who he is. He loves Dak and he loves the team, and I think he's going to do what he can to correct those mistakes.
I agree. We didn't even mention, Landon, this is Odell Beckham waiver day. We should have had a long discussion about that. Do you want to do that now?
We can real quick if you want to. Yeah.
Are the Cowboys going to claim Odell?
No.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching the Locked On Cowboys podcast and listening to us every single day. That's about as much as we needed to talk about it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
I hope somebody in the NFC claims him. Let me just say that. I hope they do.
They can ruin that locker room too.
Yeah, please. He's Landon McCool. I am Marcus Mosher. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us wherever you get your podcast. Continue to check us out on YouTube. We will be back on Wednesday to answer your Twitter questions, so make sure you guys get those in. We'll see you guys next time.